everybody, Brian here from quantlabs.net. Welcome to another analysis here about recoveries potentially for next year. I just saw something I haven't seen in a while, so let's show that. Okay, so what you're looking at is the motive wave shorts here. I like to look for longs, but I want to show you something that I have not seen yet, which is quite interesting. So I've talked about the thing that gold rises as well. We're not seeing that. So that's something to be somewhat concerned about, because the traditional economics of the relationships should be working. But you can see all the shorts here. It's all gold and whatever currency. Euro, Canadian, Euro. Now here's another one that is starting to show as a defense play. Today is December 24th. Merry Christmas to all of those already participating in that. Moving on up, you can see that it's got a long. That's a rare one. That is another defense play, but don't get all that excited because it might not be an actual trend. So here is the interesting thing I wanted to mention. We have here even the Deutsche 10-year bond is moving down. We usually would see our treasuries up here in the excellent score, but we're not seeing it. But what I am seeing are longs for Hong Kong. Okay, we got two of them. That's a first. Now, should I get really excited by that over the long run? Does that mean that Hong Kong is starting to recover somewhat? This might be something to watch for if Hong Kong starts to move. Here you have another one in Hong Kong Japanese yen, and Singapore is another interesting one to watch to see for these longs, because what we're looking for is recovery coming out of the early signs of recovery out of this pandemic. So, as you know, the Brexit has been resolved. Here's what we could have expected. Anything British pound in Hong Kong moved up, has now come off, and now we got shorts. So this, I was hoping to see more British pounds like I did yesterday to the lead up, but I'm not seeing it. So there's something going on. So what we're going to look for here again is this type of relationship in Japanese yen from Hong Kong. In Japanese yen, and then Singapore dollar to yen, it's got a long as well. So this is what's making me start to think that just maybe we might be starting to see early signs of recovery coming out of Asia, namely Hong Kong to lead out. But it's just something, and here also we have USD and Japanese yen to classic safe haven trade, and I would want to see more CHF as well, but I'm just not seeing it. Wheat as well in US dollar is starting to move up, so there's not a lot of performance out there. And as I said before, when you start to see the agricultures, you know there's not a lot of performance out there. So we have here Canadian Canadian yen, got a short here. Here it looks, now we're getting into very good. We have here one short on the Canadian and Swiss franc, and then we have a long on the Canadian Swiss franc, but you can see here it has trended up a little bit and then it's dropped back. So this is an interesting one. We're starting to get those roundup calls now again for British pound to be moving up. You can see here we have the British pound and New Zealand dollar, and this is the one I've been talking about a lot, is the pound and Canadian dollar. It seems to be moving up. They're still putting a long call out there as well. So maybe, just maybe, this trend may continue. So there's two of those, or maybe we may have hit a peak and then we have a short, tentative short. So again, that's why I wouldn't say put a lot of reliance on these type of calls. Here's one with the pound against the Swiss franc. It's hit its peak. No sense of direction from there. USD Japanese yen to move up as a long. And here's the one I've been wanting to show you not a lot of conviction here is the US dollar against the franc as a long, but you can see here it's just been in a trend down and flat. Is there a point of reversal? You would think that this could be a sign of that, but if you look at the USD Japanese yen as well, it's the same. Typically, most people want to see confirmation at the previous high, which is right here, which happened November 11th. Let's see if that's the same. Yeah, I would probably say the same time as well for November 11th for some gold calls here. So we have gold and long in Australian dollar, which is quite interesting. A short there for in franc. Now we have a long in gold for Europe. I'm starting to think that these might be early indicators that you can look for to see where strength will come in certain currencies. So if you know in gold, and you know gold may move up if the U.S. markets start to tank, which it looks like they might be happening because you're not seeing or even talking about U.S. indices, so maybe they will because they're definitely not top performers. Anyways, so when you start to see gold in whatever currency, and as long as you got some share of longs, like if you saw more of these gold in Australia, it's potentially a really good classic sign of people feel confident in that feel confidence to buy gold in that currency and hold gold in that currency, and that is a sign of people feel pretty confident with the Australian dollar to move up. So another way to measure that is here you can see gold and euro. You have two longs now, so you have two gold in euro. So this might be, let's say, as I said, Australia as an example, and you get two longs like that. That's pretty good when, especially when you start to see more gold held in Canadian dollar. Let's say that would have a call for a short. Again, we have here two calls for Australia, gold and Japanese yen. We have one long, one short. That's not a good sign, so it doesn't matter. But when you have two gold in euro, that's a good thing. So we have here, let's see what we got here. So we have two now, gold in New Zealand. That's a good sign because I do think that the New Zealand has been fairly strong. Gold in Singapore. We talked about Hong Kong had a long, and that's what made me think, well, maybe that might be a potential. So Australia has a short, China has a short. Now I can say why China, because you would think that it would start to move up. The thing with China is that they're starting to go into lockdown or have gone into lockdown, so that obviously is not going to help them. Euro, Czech. Okay, so we have a short now for euro and British pound. There's a second one. Stay away from trades like that from my perspective. Euro, Japanese yen. Short, euro, New Zealand. I would expect to see a nice long there. But euro and Poland. So people are now starting to move into defense plays. When you start to see euro and Poland, maybe people are starting to put money into Eastern Europe like Poland, but again, it's not really one of those solid places to go. Along here on euro and rand, again, that's an exotic. I wouldn't put a whole lot of emphasis on that. Hong Kong and Japanese yen long, that I would say potentially. So here we have a slight confirm my theory about Hong Kong and how that may start to move up. Canadian Singapore has a short. Now, this is interesting. Remember I talked about treasuries is the only one showing up right now. For a 30-year bond with a treasury, a long short, that's not a good thing. That's because of the debt. People are losing confidence in the U.S. To hold anything U.S. dollar related to Scandinavia, but for whatever reason, it's more starting to see, because we saw Czechoslovakia, Poland, and now Hungary. So this is an interesting. So here we come back to our treasury. 5-year short, 10-year we got a long here and a 10-year on a short. So one long for the 10-year and a short for the 10-year, which means it's washed out. It's meaningless. So again, it shows people don't have a lot of confidence in the U.S. right now. And that's why I like using the WANDA, because you get rest of the world. You're not so concentrated on the challenge here. Is USD Hong Kong. We have a long here. It is slightly moving up a little bit. Another long. So again, Hong Kong is turning out to be an interesting place to be. USD Japan, that's typical. We've talked about that earlier. Natural gas. Traditionally, they're supposed to have a long here. Why is it not working out? It's because of warm weather. So here, CHF in Hong Kong dollar, that would make sense. You got two safe haven plays against each other. Again, another trade I wouldn't worry about. This is the franc against the rand. Canadian against the CHF, Swiss franc. I think that could still hold. But again, is that a top trade right now? No. For an investment, potentially. Pound against the franc, peaked out. Pound against the New Zealand, that's got a long. I could see that. I would like to see trade pacts between Britain, Australia, and New Zealand get so with Europe, which they seem to have now for 5 years. They've also got, if they can get New Zealand, Australia, I think they got a temporary one with Canada. Britain is going to be an interesting country to watch. Turkey against Japanese yen, whoop whoop. That's pretty well it. So I'll just leave it at that. Thanks for watching. Have a good Christmas season, and I'll see you soon. The next few days doing more of these analysis. Over and out. The forum here, if you want to get some free books and stuff, get entered into my newsletter. Another thing that we are doing is the DVD. I have said this many times. I will be closing off the WhatsApp group if you're part of that. And if you want to continue that conversation, at least what I do, you want to move over to the private chat server for lifetime access. Looking pretty good for the trading script. If you want to know how the that client trading script to do all your trading in crypto is looking pretty solid. So if you want to talk about that, just come on over to quantlabs.net/questions. Get those questions into me. Email them to me here, and we'll leave it at that. That's where we're going. And the trading script's been doing pretty good. I let it run with the Binance bot. It's up 3% today. Slight negative, like negative $11 on the Kraken as well. So